technology areas, get you an understanding of all the technology areas before we introduce those problem statements to you, because we don't want you to feel out of depth. We don't want you to feel like you don't have a good grip or understanding of any of the problem statements. If you do go through 4 weeks of the lab, trust me, you will have a great understanding of what we're trying to ask you, because it's problem statements that have been devised from conversations we've had with entrepreneurs, conversations we've had with researchers, conversations we've had with academics, and really them coming to us and telling us, hey, it's great. If we can have cultivated meat on our plates by 2030, that is great. But to do that, there's XYZ problems that we need to solve. We don't currently have enough cell banks that have cell lines that can actually differentiate to create muscle mass that can eventually be used as cultivated meat. Okay, we don't have cell culture media at a cost right now that's viable for large-scale production of cultivated meat. Okay, we don't currently have scaffolds right now that are working in the way that we want them to work. All right. So those are kinds of the problem statements that we've come out with in track 1. Just because it is an innovation track and it's focused on talent development does not mean that the talent statements we're giving you cannot eventually translate into a viable business solution. The idea is just to give you a bit more lead time. If you need 6 more months to think about whether this is a sector that you want to start a company in or you want to start a business in, it's just giving you that lead time. And it's also just helping you think through some of these white space opportunities. And if you eventually pick a problem statement related to cell culture media, but eventually in the next year and a half, you want to start a cultivated chicken company, that's still going to help you and that's still going to be relevant to your journey. So just want to put it out there and make sure you have that information, that you have equal opportunity. The opportunity to present at the demo day, the opportunity and access to mentors, the access to advisory, the webinar sessions that we'll be holding for you, the opportunity to win cash prizes. It's the same. It's the exact same across those 2 tracks. The idea is that the entrepreneurship track is a little bit more focused on venture creation. So the type of advisors might look a bit different. So while in track 1, we may focus more on academic advisors, in track 2, we'll focus on both academic advisors as well as getting you in front of an investor. And that's because you have a proof of concept that you can talk to an investor about. You have some idea of what your company wants to look like. And so you're ready to have those conversations. If you come back to us a year from now, after having undergone track 1, and now you want to start your company, we will still be available to make those connections to you. Track 2 is just a little bit more focused on people that have a bit more of a developed idea. And really it's to give both these 2 different cohorts of individuals an equal opportunity to win and present and get access to this kind of knowledge that you might not otherwise gain access to. So we have a bunch of existing startups that are currently participating in this challenge with you. So the idea really is that they should not have an unfair advantage over students that are as keen right now to start a venture. So really think through where you want to fit. There was a question about whether how we'll monitor for existing startups sort of trying to come into track 1. Within that matchmaking platform and when you are registering for phase 2, we will be asking questions about whether you have an existing startup, whether your company is already incorporated. There are checks and balances in place. Trust us. We want to help as many people as possible. So trust us. We're not trying to trick anyone. We will make sure that track 2 is for startups and early stage startups and venture creation, and track 1 is solely for innovation and ideation. So that differentiation has been made, there have been checks put into place, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's just something that everyone should think about going into phase 2, because that's the first decision that you'll have to make. based on whether you pick track 1 and track 2, like Devika mentioned, then you'll be able to pick a sort of technology area that you're interested in. During the matchmaking, while your track and your technology area are important sort of differentiators for you, as well as important sort of key features that people can look for you and look to partner with you on, the problems area that you want to work on. So in track 1, we have 15 problem statements. You have 5 in under plant-based. You don't have to decide going into matchmaking which problem statement you want to work in. You will have to decide that you want to work in plant-based, or you want to work in fermentation, or you want to work in cultivated. But the problem statement is something that you have that 1 week to decide. So really, it's about meeting people that want to work in track 1 with you, want to work on a plant-based solution with you, and then maybe you find someone and you both have different ideas about the RFP, specific RFP you want to work on. This is really your time to get together, discuss where you think both of your skill sets are most valuable. Pick that problem statement at the end of matchmaking week when you're logging in and when you're registering as a team for phase 2. That's when you need to finalize. You will have 1 week to decide. The only decision you need to make, A, is track 1 or track 2. Again, any questions on that, happy to answer it. And of course, technology area, because it's just going to be easier to find people with common interests to you. I hope that's helpful. Devika, should we move to the next question?
Yeah, so I've just been answering them on the side, but we can take them a little deeper. So there was a question regarding the correct answer for the quizzes. So we've made them available to you in the resource section itself. It's titled as answer key, and it will give you a link to a sheet with all the questions for that particular section, as well as that particular week. So both sections, as well as the correct answer for it. So if you can just log in to your platform, and then if you could just go back to the previous week, you can see it linked there. So there's a question about opportunities to get a job in the sector. So do you want to take that, Nicole, maybe?
Yes, this is a great question. So really the point of getting everyone to do the Smart Protein Digital Lab is so that when we include you into the talent database, we're going to include a field that says whether you were involved in ISPIC or not, and whether you are certified from our Smart Protein Digital Lab. So the idea really is that when a company is looking to hire in this sector, they will already have a proxy that you have an understanding of the sector. So we understand now it's difficult to get prior work experience within the sector because the sector is so nascent. But at the same time, you have a bunch of startups that are scaling. You have a bunch of corporates that are looking to enter the sector or that have specific teams dedicated to the smart protein sector. It's difficult for them to hire because there's no one with prior experience. So this is sort of our way of signaling to them that you know what there is to know about the sector. So A, we'll include you into a talent database. B, there will be a specific feature within that talent database to indicate that you have been through ISPIC and that you are certified through this program that we have designed and we have run. So that will give corporates and companies a huge relief. We're also planning on organizing a careers fair. So for everyone that does qualify for phase 1, hopefully by March 2022, at the end of the challenge, the idea is to get a bunch of corporates in the room and organize a careers fair for people that have gone through the digital lab, have been certified from the digital lab, interested in working in the sector, get you to start speaking to corporates that are looking to hire and startups looking to hire, because we receive those queries all the time and we really want you to put you in front of them. So it will happen. That's what we're working towards. We really want you to be part of this sector as much as you want to be part of this sector. So we are working on it and it will happen. Ashwin, yes, you do get to pick the problem statement in track 1. So we will release all the problem statements in week 4 of phase 1. So at the end of phase 1, On the 14th of October, which is the next webinar that we have, our SciTech specialist Akshay will come in and explain each of the problem statements to you, both across CM and fermentation. Shardul will come in and explain all the problem statements to you across plant-based. You will then have all of matchmaking week to decide which problem statement you want to pick. It will not be picked for you. You can pick depending on your expertise and your team's expertise, and then you can log that in once you're registering for phase 2 of the challenge. So from the cohort that we had last year, we have currently 80 people working within the sector right now. Devika is a great example. Devika went through the challenge last year. She was actually number 1 on the leaderboard for the digital lab, and she's currently working with GFI India, and we love having her here. And it's been great. Devika, do you just want to speak to how the challenge has helped you sort of focus your career as well?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, basically, I did not come from like a food technology background. I was in software. So especially the digital lab, I would say, set a great foundation and like knowledge base for me when it comes to the sector. And even going forward into the different phases, I got an idea of how I would like to align with the space and what parts of the sector I really enjoy working with. And just the networks you build, I think going forward, you see how your peers are engaging in the space and the kind of jobs that are available. And you see that because it's such a up and coming sector, that there's a place for everyone. Like there is scope for people from different fields to just come in and contribute to the space. And you'll be in the know of the opportunities that's around you, even if it's through the GFIDS community, or just all the people you've met through the challenge and is now in your LinkedIn or through other social media. You're just constantly in the know of what's happening in the sector and who's looking to hire and what are the opportunities that's out there. And that's how I personally came across the opportunity at GFI and applied for the same. So I think, yeah, ISPIC is a great starting point for you to think of of a career in this space, because you're just in tune to what's happening constantly.
Thanks, Devika. There's been questions about missing out on quizzes. So I really just want to reiterate that the qualifier for phase 1 is 60% across all 8 quizzes. So if you've missed 1 quiz, if you've missed 2 quizzes, don't be disheartened. Just try and work as hard as you can on the remaining quizzes. We still have about 5 quizzes to go. So you have more than enough room to make up for any missed tests and any missed quizzes. We're only looking for 60% across the 8 quizzes. You don't have to get 60% on every quiz. So don't be disheartened if you've missed one, or don't be disheartened if you haven't done your best on one. You can more than make up for it in the next coming 5 quizzes. We've also extended the time limit to 2 minutes per question. So this will give you more time to think through, more time to settle in while you're testing, enough time to go through, go back, check your answers, everything. We really want as many of you to qualify into phase 2, because that's where the excitement really starts. Just checking if we have any other questions about the challenge, not necessarily phase 1, beyond phase 1, about matchmaking. I hope I was clear about the distinction between track 1 and track 2. We also have all this information on our website. So please feel free to go through our website as well. Yash, interesting question. Will capital intensive ideas be at a disadvantage in track 2? Not necessarily at all. So the idea from track 2, especially for entrepreneurs, the prize money, we would love if you use it as a sort of pre-incubation support. So we have partners on board that are ready to support you, irrespective of what sector you pick. So whether you pick plant-based, we have partners like NIFTIM on board, for example, and IIFPT. If you pick cultivated or fermentation, we have partners like CCMB and CCAMP and IIT Madras on board. They're already incubating startups within these sectors, startups that you could call financially capital intensive, I guess, Yash, but not a disadvantage at all, because the partners that we have on board have already worked with startups that probably will look like you at the end of the challenge. So um, really what you will get out of this is a fund to pre-incubate. So probably enough to get you through 1 year of incubation at any of these. And also all our partners, for winners that come out of ISPIC, of a finalists that come out of ISPIC, they're willing to skip a lot of the hurdles that you might otherwise have to go through if you were to incubate at any of their incubation facilities. So instead of applying and reapplying to be part of their cohort, they'll take you straight to the investment. They'll take you straight to the incubation committee, where they'll make a yes or no decision on incubating you, depending on what expertise they have and everything. But that's a huge advantage that you get. So no, not at all. You're not disadvantaged. You will also be put in front of a room of investors in track two. The current investment landscape for alternative protein is very, very hot. Everyone's looking for the next thing to invest in. You will be put in front of these investors. All the finalists that were part of the challenge last year have received interest from investors that they were that they presented in front of. They had follow-on conversations. Some of them are now part of different cohorts of either BIV or Lever or Brink. So you are not disadvantaged. You have access to this network that has access to capital, that can provide you that access to capital if they believe in your idea. So after matchmaking week ends, preferably, Arman, we don't want you to change your subsector, because the idea is you will be sort of forming your team based on a collective decision of what subsector you want to solve, or what you want to really work on. The idea is to give you that 1 week to really think through it. We'll be having a session with you all at the beginning of matchmaking week. We'll be having a similar office hours type session in the middle of matchmaking week, so you can really get all your questions answered about if you're thinking about a specific sector or if you're thinking about a specific RFP. But really, we prefer that you not change. If there's some exceptional circumstance, we can consider it, but really, really, we prefer that you not change your subsector once you pick what you decide to do after matchmaking week. Devika, do you want to take Abhay's question next?
Yeah, I'd love to. So this is a great question. So I can't stress enough how important like phase one is, because I know it's quite intimidating getting into it, everything being new, but just tackle it from a point of view of just I'm sure like even those from food technology backgrounds haven't received this kind of extensive know-how or course related to alternative proteins. So don't get bogged down by the fact that the majority of the cohort is somehow involved with food. Everyone is learning at the end of the day. And I think the phase one especially is structured in such a way that any newcomer can kind of catch on, and it follows a kind of gradual progression in terms of how hard it is and how to build knowledge in the sector. So I would suggest just completely focusing on building that knowledge from phase one. But also what helped me in phase two as well is finding the right team members. And I would suggest just interacting a lot on Slack as well, because I remember personally the team that I made came about from discussions that we had on Slack around like a news article that was posted, and then we just kind of took it from there because we knew that all of us wanted to kind of ideate in that particular space. So I would definitely encourage to just, keep a ear to the ground and kind of you can see that everyone's introducing themselves in the group. So even from that, you can see who is doing what and who can help you where. Because personally, I knew that not coming from a food tech or nutrition background, I would need that kind of support going forward. So my team members was one food technologist and one nutritionist, and I kind of presented my case on where I can add value. So that's really important going forward as well. So like if you have a good base from phase one, then it kind of helps you add value to your team going forward. And with phase two, three, and four, it's all about how you interact with your team and how together you can bring about a great solution or a proposal. So I would just say focus on phase one, but at the same time, interact as much as possible with your cohort on Slack, even before matchmaking week. So you already have an idea of who's interested in what and who you'd potentially want to team up with. I hope that helps.
Thanks for that, Devi. That's super helpful. Um, Quickly, I'm just going to answer Arman. We do have mentors coming on board from phase two. So, how phase two currently looks like is you'll go through the matchmaking week. You'll have a week to find your team and register on the Mercer Metal platform as a team. We'll share all those details with you over email. We'll have webinars on it, so you don't have to worry about that. The first 2 weeks of phase two, we share a bunch of resources specific to RFPs that you may have picked or specific to technology areas that you may have picked. So this is very curated resources that we're sharing with you. They can be in the form of videos, they can be in the form of white papers. You're not going to be quizzed on any of this. These are completely optional resources. It's just to give you a better understanding of the problem area that you have picked. So that's going to be what your first 2 weeks of phase two look like. The last 2 weeks of phase two, you will only have live sessions with mentors. So you are free to join sessions of any mentors that are coming on board, but you will have some that we feel are compulsory for you depending on your subject area. So if you pick plant-based seafood, we will have seafood experts come in and do a session with you. Again, they will go through the entire value chain. They'll go through what the sector looks like currently. They'll give you an entire background of the subject matter itself. They'll also go through specific details about the problem statement itself that we've put forward. Based on those webinars with those mentors, based on the resources that we share with you, you will only need to submit a 5-page proposal. So really, again, phase two is really just about learning as much as you can, absorbing as much as you can, putting it together in a structured form in a 5-page proposal. And then depending on whether you move through or not, phase three is then if the breakup for phase two is probably 80% static resources and 20% live webinars. In phase three, that switches. So you have 80% of your time is just going to be interacting with industry experts, with investors, with incubators and accelerators, with scale-up specialists, with consultants, with literally every single advisor and expert you would want. To really think through building out that extended proposal. So you will have access to mentors from phase two onwards, but really one-on-one interactions, group interactions begin from phase three when you need it most. Phase three is also a longer phase. Unlike, it's not 4 weeks, it's 6 weeks. So you really have time to spend as much time reaching out to mentors by also creating a mentorship program. So we'll be able to share with you specific mentors that are looking to work with you based on what your idea is. And you'll have 2 hours of their time to have a one-on-one session with them and your team, and just go through every aspect of your solution so you can come up with the best solution possible to present at the demo day. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of what's in store. Jay, to your question about being an undergraduate student interested in startup, I would say go with track one and give yourself time. Don't be in a rush. With track two, if you go through the evaluation criteria, we do require teams to provide some amount of data validation. The demo day for track two requires you to do some amount of a demonstration of a prototype or demonstration of your data or presenting some data to us. So I would recommend that you should definitely apply for track one. If you're not already working in a startup, if you're not already, working with people to put together an idea for this sector, I would recommend sticking to track one. It just improves your chances hugely. Like I said, the problem statements are designed in a way where they are extremely relevant to form a commercial startup, but there's no rush. You can do that 6 months after the challenge as well. So you still have access to all the same resources. You will be able to build out a strategic plan that will probably get you thinking more clearly about the startup in question that you want to create eventually. So you'll still be on a good wicket in track one, but I would highly recommend sticking to track one. No, so you don't need to present any primary data collection in phase two. So I would really recommend going through the evaluation criteria. Really, the answer is the proposal is about you just putting forward a basic idea. So it'll really be more of a literature review based on material that we'll be providing, additional material that you will probably find while researching the topic, interactions with mentors. That's really what your 5-page proposal will look like. A really, really strong literature review. No primary data collection. That will come in phase 3. Unfortunately, we have designed the lab for it to be 40 hours of content. We've tried our best to spread that out between white papers and videos and different media forms so that it's not so boring and you don't have to just read. But unfortunately, not all material that we have is documented in video form or podcast form. So we still do have to provide you with some written resources. We've tried our best to make sure that there is a balance, but unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do in terms of that.
And to add on to that, like the reading will definitely come in handy when you build out your proposals for phase 2 and 3, because you'll have to refer to it and come back to it quite a bit when you are making your own proposals. So I think it's really important to have written material as well.
And Arman, great question. Yes, you can spin off your 5-page proposal into a review or research paper. Really, that's what we see as an advantage for someone that's really keen on this sector, but still studying, about to think about their master's thesis or their undergraduate thesis in their last year. So, really, yeah, the answer to that question is yes. The idea is for you to build out a proposal, and our hope is that by the end of the challenge, you do have a 15-page proposal that it looks very much like a review or a research paper. So the answer to that is yes. Samir, no, you do not have to attend. You have to attend phase 1 if that's what you're asking. But in phase 2, when you have to pick tracks, you will be slotted into track 2. Because you already are an entrepreneur, we don't want the track 1 is also, we've put together very specific problem statements. We don't want you to have to solve a problem statement. We want you to accelerate your startup. We want to put you in front of the right people. We want to connect you with the right people. We want to make sure that this challenge is sort of like a 4-5 month acceleration program for you. So you don't have to go through track one. You can go through track two. Apply for track two. If some of your colleagues from your startup are doing the challenge with you, you can form a team with them. If you're looking at the challenge as a way to recruit, you can find new team members. Yeah, but track two is the one for you. Yeah, perfect. So when we move from phase one to phase two, um, you can, during the matchmaking week, you can form a team with people you can form a team with members of your startup that you already have. And then at the end of matchmaking week, you will just have to re-register on the Mercer Metal platform within track two with your team. So you're good. Yeah, exactly. This challenge is a great opportunity for you to hire new team members. The idea from this challenge is very much talent development. So definitely, like Devika said, engage with people through Slack, engage with people during the matchmaking week. It's a great way to hire people. They've already been vetted because they've gone through this challenge with you. They'll be working with you for the next 4 months. It's a great opportunity to hire. The next question is about whether you need to produce an end product or just have a thesis or an idea. So again, we do not expect you to have an end product, specifically if you are picking fermentation or cultivated. End products take months, years to put together. So really, firstly in track one, we do not require you to provide any data. You only need to provide a theoretical solution to a problem statement that we will pose to you. In track two, if you're coming at it as an entrepreneur from the fermentation or cultivated industry, we will require you to provide data validation, but you in no way have to have a proof of concept already ready. That's ridiculous to expect in 5 months, and we don't expect that. But we do expect some amount of data to be collected to validate your solution. So it's a bit beyond a theoretical solution or proposal that you're putting forward. Those are the key distinctions between track one and track two. We also do not provide any support on lab facilities during the course of the challenge. So over these next 5 months, we do have partners who are accelerators and academic partners and academic labs. They are our partners. They will be coming on board as mentors from phase three onwards, who you'll be able to have one-on-one interactions with. But after the challenge, finalists and winners of the challenge will have the opportunity to incubate at these facilities, but not during the challenge. I hope that's clear. Devika has also linked the evaluation criteria. Definitely go through that to see what the expectations are. Track one versus track two, phase two versus phase three. It'll really give you a good understanding of how the challenge is structured as well. The idea is really to, if you're a student, really to get you to think critically about this sector, whether that's building up on a research solution or anything like that. And on the startup side, really to help you accelerate your startup and give you a push that you may not have gotten, and do it in a very quick period of time. So yeah, so I think definitely go through that and you'll get an idea of that. We're going to start a poll. It would be really helpful for us if you answer the poll. It'll just give us a better understanding of what everyone's progress is like. So if you could just answer that poll, that would be great. And if you have any more questions about anything challenge related, platform related, yeah, now is really your chance to ask them, and we'll be happy to answer. If your question wasn't answered, um, and you feel like you still want a bit more clarity, you can use our query resolution form. It's on the website. We'll link it here as well. It's in every email we send you. Just write us an answer there and write us a question there, sorry, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Um, Really exciting poll results. I'll share those with you if you're interested. I really want to reiterate that we've only finished 3 quizzes so far. So if you have missed out on 1 or 2 or all 3 quizzes, really use the next 5 quizzes to bring your average up to 60%. We want all of you to be part of phase 2. Really, if you are looking for a career in this sector, if you already have a startup, or if you're looking to form your startup, there is no other platform that will sort of take you through what we're trying to do. So definitely um, just take those 40 minutes, 40 hours of time to go through these materials and just get through phase 1, and then all the fun starts. All right. Any more questions? Okay. We'll keep this line open till about 7. So if any questions come up during that time, happy to answer it. If not, happy to take anything over email through that query resolution form. So we're here. We don't want you to feel disengaged. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't prolong the test period. Um, there is a lot of information to get through, but like we said, it's really a structured 5-month program. We don't want to extend it because we understand other people, like people have other things to do. People are running companies. People are still in university and studying. So we really can't extend it. What we have done is just extended the time amount for each question, if that helps. But we can't extend deadlines. It's not possible for us. It's also unfair for everyone that does stick to the deadline. So really just try your best to get in your quizzes in time. There's no negative marking. So yeah, I think there's no harm in putting your best foot forward. That's all the unfortunately support I can provide you with.
Also, I would suggest just going back to the material as and when you get time, maybe in the later phases, or like when you read a particular resource in week 2 that links directly back to week 1, go back, refer to your notes, or go through the resource again, because that's how you kind of refresh your memory on the same. And just going back to all the 101 resources will really help you.
Yeah, and also we will be sharing the answer key at the beginning of every week. So we shared the answer key for quiz 1 and quiz 2 on Monday of this week. We'll share the answer key for quiz 3 and quiz 4 on Monday of next week. So definitely go back to that and refresh your own knowledge. And if you went wrong somewhere, figure out where. And yeah, I think it'll be helpful and will improve your own learning for phase 2 onwards.
I'm just going to take Ketki's question. I think I just understood your question.
Yeah.
And yes, before your time runs out, you have the opportunity to go back and revisit the questions that you already answered, but within that time frame of 2 minutes per question, after which your quiz will get submitted. But yeah, you can go back to the questions that you previously answered to recheck them if you want to within the time frame.
We will also share a recording of this webinar. So any friends you have who are also taking the challenge with you, but were unfortunately unable to attend, they will have access to this. You will have access to this. So yeah, that will be shared with you tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you use tomorrow on the weekend as well to sort of just push through on those on that quiz as well and just get it out of the way.
I feel like this section you're getting like close to 4 days. So really use that time to kind of go through whole material as well, stuff that you couldn't completely go through in the first 3 sections, because you're getting the weekend as well to go through them. You really use that time.
And again, please use the Slack channels. If you find an interesting article or an interesting opportunity that would also your other participants might find fun to read or fun to engage with, definitely share it on the Smart Protein social channel. Yeah, and interact with each other.
Yeah, there's a question on the answer key. So if you would just go to the resource section for week 1, there's a tab that says answer key. It's very clearly linked on within the platform itself.
All right, Devika, I think with that we can call this session to a close. Thank you everyone for your time. Please use the website as a resource um, for any questions you have on the challenge. Definitely go through the FAQ section. Um, use the form if you feel like your question hasn't been answered. Go through some of the past webinars. And yeah, thank you all so much. And we look forward to interacting with you over Slack. And good luck for quiz 4. Bye.